Conference realignment strikes again, this time out west with USC and UCLA heading to the Big Ten in 2024. And what better way to break down a conference with new additions than a tier list? D tier is bottom of the barrel and S tier is perennial powerhouse. Let's start with the schools at D, and not much of a surprise, we begin with Rutgers. Close your eyes. It's 2006. Rutgers, led by coach Greg Schiano, just finished their season ranked in the top 15 for the first time since 1961. Things are looking up for the program, and they were for a couple of years. Unfortunately, the Scarlet Knights have disappointed since joining the Big Ten, finishing with just one winning season since 2014. The silver lining is Greg Schiano's back, and although his first 2 years haven't been stellar, maybe, just maybe, he can make Rutgers relevant again. Indiana has also had a rough go of it, landing in the D tier. 0-5 in bowl appearances since 2000. 19 losing seasons. One ranked finish during a shortened season, which was honestly the lone bright spot in what has been a long rough patch. Unfortunately for the Hoosiers, they weren't able to build off their success in 2020 and had an abysmal 2021. Going 2-10 and losing all their conference games. They're going to need to build on a terrible defense and a rotating door at the quarterback position if they hope to dig their way out of the D tier going forward. On to the C tier, we have Maryland. Maryland hasn't exactly been the toast of the Big Ten since joining the conference in 2014. In fact, the Terrapins have yet to record a winning season in conference play, finishing near the bottom of the East each year. Maryland did have a bright spot last year, finishing with their second overall winning record since joining the Big Ten and capping the season off with a Pinstripe Bowl victory. The question will be, did 2021 provide Maryland with the positive momentum they need heading into next year? Or should we expect more of the same old Terrapins going into the next few seasons? Next we have Illinois, who have also been struggling. A historically 500 team at 6-16, 6-08, and 50, the Illini haven't had a winning season the past 10 years. Year 1 of Brett Bielema was at least close to even at 5-7, but a lot is going to need to change for Illinois to sniff competing with the big dogs in the Big Ten. For now, they may have to be content playing spoiler for opposing programs, which they successfully did in 2021, beating both then number 7 Penn State and number 20 Minnesota on the road. So that's at least a start. Nebraska. The best 3-9 team in the country has a chip on their shoulder and something to prove. Or at least let's hope they do for the sake of Scott Frost's job security. The Cornhuskers have had a rough time of it since Bo Pelini got fired. One winning season since 2015. In 4 seasons, Frost has failed to win more than 5 games. To put it into perspective, Nebraska lost 12 total games from 1993 to 2001. They have lost 14 games in the last 2 seasons, which is unacceptable. But there was a bright spot last year as Nebraska was competitive in all 9 of their losses. However, being competitive doesn't pay the bills. Expect some big staff turnover if the Cornhuskers don't make an impressive turnaround in 2022. Next is Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald has led Northwestern to quite a roller coaster of the past 16 seasons. However, you could argue that this has been one of the most successful stretches in the history of the program. The Wildcats have finished ranked 3 of the past 5 years, including 3 bowl game victories and finishing ranked 10th in the shortened 2020 season. Although last year's season was a letdown, finishing 3-9 and 1-8 in conference play, if history shows anything, it's that Northwestern is primed to go on a decent run next year. Purdue had a pretty impressive 2021, going 9-4 and beating both then number 2 Iowa and number 3 Michigan State in the process. However, seasons like that have been more of an exception than a rule as of late. Since 2009, the Boilermakers have had just 3 winning seasons, and they haven't finished one ranked since 2003. I was honestly considering putting them in D tier, but I had a hard time doing that based off of their 2021 season. There is momentum that can be built off a year like that, and it will be interesting to see if they can build on that momentum or if they'll continue to tread water. The final team in the C tier is UCLA. The first appearance of the 2 additions to the Big Ten, UCLA has stumbled under coach Chip Kelly but finally seemed to find their bearings last year as they finished with a winning record. However, that was the Pac-12, and the Big Ten is a much different animal. Now, the Bruins do have some time to prepare before they join the conference in 2024, but a lot is going to need to change if they hope to find success. The first order of business will be to build on their success in 2021 and hope that momentum carries them into the Big Ten on a hot streak. The good news for UCLA is that they do have a winning record all time against Big Ten schools at 47, 43, and 3, if I did my math right. so they should have no problem at least competing in the conference. Moving on to the B tier, the first school is the second addition to the conference in USC. USC is tricky to place because I absolutely thought they would be near the top of the Pac-12 within a season or two. However, moving to the Big Ten throws all that out the window. The competition is now elevated and the stakes are now higher. Lincoln Riley is going to have a couple years to right the ship before the move happens, and he is going to be working with a squad that went 4-8 last season. However, he will benefit from a solid group of transfers coming in and likely elite recruiting classes if he can lead USC to success while they're still in the Pac-12. Although the Trojans have been underperforming by their standards, they have finished ranked 3 of the past 6 seasons. I think they have the potential to be an A-tier team, but there are currently too many unknowns to slot them that high. The 2022 and 2023 seasons will be a key indicator to show how they'll likely perform once they complete their conference transition. I do think it is important to note that USC does not have a losing record all time against any school in the Big Ten. Just food for thought there. Minnesota also lands in the B tier. 2021 was a tricky year for Minnesota. Despite winning a very respectable 9 games that year, the loss of Mohamed Ibrahim in week 1 was tough. In fact, I'm actually convinced that if he stays healthy during that game, not only does Minnesota beat Ohio State, but they potentially finish their regular season undefeated. The great news for the Golden Gophers is that surprisingly Ibrahim is returning in 2022, which means the offense is in good hands. Excluding the shortened 2020 season, Minnesota has had a winning record 4 of the last 5 years, and I do expect that to continue in the PJ Fleck era. However, they will need to step it up through the entirety of a season if they want to compete year in and out for a spot in the conference title game. Next, we have Iowa. 2021 was on pace to be a magical season for the Hawkeyes. Sitting at 6-0, number 2 in the country, fresh off a huge win over then number 4 Penn State. 2 losses in a row later, Iowa still managed to make it to the Big Ten title game but got obliterated by Michigan, then went on to lose their bowl game. But this isn't just about last season, and Iowa has had moments of success in the Kirk Ferentz era. The Hawkeyes have made a bowl game all but 2 seasons since 2000, and have finished ranked 4 straight years, including 2 10-win seasons. They're a team that always seems to be in the conversation but rarely at the top of the list. Next year will provide them with yet another opportunity to stake their claim as one of the elite teams in the conference. To start the A tier, we have Penn State. The James Franklin era continues at Penn State, and it's been a mixed bag. Throwing out a 2020 that was weird for everyone, the Nittany Lions have had 3 7-win seasons, a 9-win season, and 3 11-win seasons, including a Big Ten title. While this doesn't necessarily put them on top of the elite group of Big Ten teams, it is a stretch that many teams across the country would die for. Penn State is coming off 2 straight disappointing seasons, and although it isn't time to raise concern, a third could spell trouble. I expect Penn State to get its groove back and be the team it was meant to be moving forward. Next up are the reigning Big Ten champions. By George, they finally did it. The Michigan Wolverines won a Big Ten title for the first time since 2004, which feels weird to say, but the Wolverines have been good, at times great, but not elite since Jim Harbaugh took the reins in 2015. But in his 4th 10-plus win season, Michigan finally broke through, beating Ohio State, and well, at least they made a college football playoff appearance. Michigan fans will be hoping that their 2021 season becomes more of a trend than an aberration, and I think it's safe to say that they belong near the top of the conference standings going forward. Next up is Michigan State. With most eyes on Michigan and Ohio State, it feels like Michigan State rarely gets the credit they deserve as a program. Well, I'm here to give it to them. The Spartans have won 10 or more games in 7 of the last 12 seasons, have won the conference 3 times, and finished in the top 10 in 2021. All that being said, I don't expect them to replicate the success they had last year this upcoming season. However, I do think they've done plenty to stake their claim in the A tier, and I expect them to continue to impress. Wisconsin rounds out the A tier as one of the best programs in the Big Ten West, appearing in the Big Ten title game 5 of the last 10 years. Unfortunately, they've recently found themselves on the losing end, but that doesn't mean they haven't fielded some great teams. The Badgers have won 10 or more games in 5 of the last 8 seasons and have finished ranked in each, and haven't had a losing season in 20 years. Despite their slow start in 2021 going 1-3, they finished with a respectable 9 wins. Wisconsin is a team that you expect to compete for a Big Ten title year in and out, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon. The lone S tier team is Ohio State. Most conferences have a team that stands head and shoulders above the rest. Oklahoma in the Big 12, Alabama in the SEC, Clemson in the ACC, and Ohio State in the Big 10. The Buckeyes have won 10 or more games 15 of the past 17 seasons. and one of the misses was the year they played only 8 total games. They finished first or tied for first in their division 16 of those seasons, won the conference title 11 of those seasons, finished in the top 10 15 of those seasons, and won a national title during that span. No matter how you look at it, that's dominance. And although they stumbled against Michigan last year, I don't expect things to change. Ohio State is going to remain king of the conference. If you want to see another controversial tier list, check out this video here, and as always, have a great day and see y'all at the next one.